I've been a truck driver for some time now, and I've experienced many things on the road. Some have stayed with me for years, while some will probably stay with me until the day I die. I've been placed on a very long journey, taking a load 10 hours cross county. There was nothing but dreadful music on the radio, and I was beginning to get tired. It had gotten dark some time ago, and was now extremely late. I decided to call in for the night at the next motel I came across. I didn't even care if it was a bad one. Now I really wish I had. I pulled up and looked around. The place looked awful. The paint was peeling off the walls, the windows were dirty, and there were multiple letters missing from the motel sign. The strangest part was that there were no cars in the parking lot. On any other occasion, I'd have taken that as a strong warning to stay away, but I've been driving all day and did not have the energy to get back in the truck and drive somewhere else. I went over to the reception and there was no one there. I rang the bell and still no one came. I waited a few more minutes, repeatedly ringing the bell. Annoyed, I turned around and began to walk away. But then I heard a voice. I turned around to see an elderly man with very few teeth, grinning at me wildly. He welcomed me to the motel and asked me if he could be of assistance. I told him that I needed a room for the night, and I'd like a room with the view of my truck. He fumbled around for a bit, and he then threw me a key with a room number on it. I paid him up front because I'd be setting off early in the morning. As I was walking up the stairs, I heard him say in a muffled tone, "You have a great night's sleep." He then chuckled to himself quietly. This should have creeped me out, but I was by far way too exhausted to care. The first thing I noticed when I entered my room is that it was not facing my truck, like I'd asked. Instead, just the dumpsters on the other side of the building. The bed was comfy and the room was big, but I couldn't help shake the feeling that something wasn't right. There were stains on the carpet, dark stains. The walls were covered in marks, and there was something in a plastic bag in the bathroom. I couldn't tell what it was, but it was big. I lifted the top to see in, and I almost threw up. Inside was the head of a pig. Not nicely severed like a butcher would do, but a deep, rough cut. This was absolutely horrifying. But as the walls were crawling with cockroaches anyway, I decided it best not to use the shower or the bath and drew the curtains across. I tried to forget about what I had seen. I awoke not to the sound of my alarm clock, but the sound of voices outside my room. It was 2 in the morning. Who would be out of bed at that time? I just assumed it was another guest, and I tried to get back to sleep. But before I could, I heard the unmistakable sound of a key in the lock. I flew out of bed, straight into the bathroom, and immediately hid in the tub, trying to ignore the pig's head that lay next to me. The curtain was drawn across, but I could see it a small amount through a moth-eaten hole in the curtain. I heard the door swing open, and the sound of footsteps as someone entered the room. I peeked through the hole to see a man in a ski mask walk over to my bed. He had something in his hand. The man threw off the covers and cursed. I then heard the voice of the man from the reception whisper, "What's wrong?" The man in the ski mask responded, "He's not here. He must have left earlier when we thought he would." I then saw the man start leaving, and a huge amount of relief washed over me. Then he stopped, turned around, and walked straight into the bathroom. It felt like my heart had literally stopped beating. I tried to flatten myself into the bottom of the tub, although I knew it wouldn't do much good. He stood there for a good few minutes. I then heard the man cough, spit something into the sink, and leave. When I was sure that they were gone, I got out, grabbed my bag, and hauled ass out of there. I used the emergency exit at the side of the building. I ran around to my truck, got in, started the engine, and sped off. As I was leaving, I saw someone in the window, staring at me, grinning his nasty, toothless grin. I didn't look back and got out of there. I'd driven nearly 20 miles when I was pulled over by a highway state patrolman. He asked me if I was aware that my back doors were hanging open. I told him no and went to check it out. A large amount of my load had been stolen, and many other boxes had been slashed open. I told the cop everything about the motel and what had happened to me. He shook his head in disbelief and told me something that made me gasp. That motel, 20 miles up the road, the owner died there 4 years ago, and it's been abandoned ever since.